love my F word, so that's where it was inspired from that. But really, made me think of the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That's faith right there. The courage to change the things I can. That's flow, moving into action. And the wisdom to know the difference. And isn't that freedom? So how many of you are looking to experience a little bit more good, a little bit more expansion? Raise your hand if you are ready for a healing or, yeah, okay, so that's pretty much everyone. So when we want to get into this idea of expansion, we get to experience a couple of lessons and blessings. So before we get too deep in those faith, flow, and freedom, I wanted to give you another F word that'll help unplug the channel. And who can guess what that F word is? Forgiveness. Yes, the newcomer, A+. Okay, we got 3 people. Okay, so it's interesting that all of us want greater good, but not all of us really want to do the forgiveness work, and I totally get it. You know, I totally get it. I don't want to do it either. It's easy to say I want greater good, but the forgiveness work has there's two things about forgiveness work which are absolutely true. Number 1, we all have forgiveness work to do, and number 2, no one wants to do it. Nobody wants to do that stuff. It's like Thanksgiving dishes. It's like if we can get out of doing them, we're gonna figure out a way to get out of doing them, right? I mean, we're just gonna sit on the couch and enjoy the buzz from the tryptophan, from the turkey. So forgiveness work is something that all of us are doing, and most of us don't fully do the forgiveness work because we're thinking exactly like I can tolerate my unforgivenesses. Thank you very much. Like I'm fine, and still we walk around kind of agitated with this low-grade agitation and disgruntledness and worry and fear and anxiety. Those are actually signs that there's sincere forgiveness work to do. If you're feeling like you are having blame or shame or doubt or guilt in any way, that's a sign for forgiveness work. So, but if we don't do that work, if we gain a greater tolerance for our agitation, then our sick becomes normal. And we don't want to have that experience. And that's when we start to wonder, how come God's not doing its part, right? So in the Our Father, it says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, give us this day our daily bread. So it's literally asking, yeah, God, we want more. We're all saying, we want more good. Give us our daily bread. And then later on the prayer it says, we'll forgive. We'll do the forgiving. Forgive us our trespasses and we'll forgive others. Like that's our deal, right? So we're asking God for more, but we're actually not ready to play our part. It's interesting, that's where we get kind of stuck. So that is my pitch for forgiveness. God's gift to us is to deliver greater good in our lives, and our role is to just work on the forgiveness work. Good, forgiveness. More good, more forgiveness. More good, more forgiveness. It's almost like climbing a ladder with God. So today on the Course of Miracles on the phone call, we talked about mercy. You know, having mercy on ourselves and having mercy on others. And it said, the lesson was, it can be about myself I crucify. I think that's incredible. So like when we're holding these crucifying thoughts towards our brothers, it's only us. And 12 steps says, you know, when you point a finger at your brother, you got 3 pointing back at you. So it's not just that you're crucifying yourself a little, you're crucifying yourself 3 times more than you think you're crucifying your brother. We don't have the tolerance for that today. Like we really have to allow ourselves to just pull that finger in and to go to the source, go to God and figure out how we can work on forgiveness. So what is one of the tools that we can work on with forgiveness? I like to use the prayer of Jabez. The prayer of Jabez says, God, that you'll bless me indeed, expand my consciousness, that your hand will be with me, that you'll keep me from fear, that it will not cause pain. And then you do it for your brother. God, bless him indeed, expand his consciousness, that your hand will be with him, that you will keep him from fear, that he will not cause pain. This is a protection prayer as well as an extension prayer. So, after we do that forgiveness work, we want to begin to look at growth. Where can we grow? So, it's funny because we think we'll do the forgiveness work and then we have this intention to grow and have growth, and we're working and we're striving and still there seems to be blocks. We seem to be spinning, we seem to be working hard, and we seem to in some areas, in the area that we're specifically looking at today, we seem to be blocked and we're getting nowhere with it. There's a desired outcome, and and it's just not showing up. So, so we find ourselves in this space of wanting, and we go, I really want this to happen. How come this isn't happening? I really want this to happen. You know, as much as I love my F words, I don't like the W word, wanting. I really don't like that word. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not for a single thing, not now, not then, not ever. You know, God is, as we talked about last week, a benevolent supplier. So we have to continue to know that, especially when we're met up with some sort of a want or a lack. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I use that all the time, whenever I feel like there's a lack. So I remember when I was in Los Angeles as an actress, I really wanted, I really, really wanted. I wanted to be good, and I wanted to be compensated. I wanted to be famous. This was a want that I had. And I would go into every audition, I would pre-plan for it with, I would get coaching, I would study the script, I would study the show. I made sure that I wanted it more than anyone else in that room, and I worked really, really hard to get it. And yet, I would usually book 1 out of 10 jobs. So that's a lot of no thank you, right? And that was when my ratio was really good. Sometimes it was like 1 out of 40. That's a lot of no thank you. So I was like, why? God knows my heart's desire. I'm working really, really hard on my end. So what is it that's preventing this thing from being made manifest? Well, what's preventing it is, again, me being in the driver's seat and wanting it so much. Wanting it so much will drain the juice and joy out of it. So I show up like a ball of knots. And the person on the other end of the table is staring at me like, there ain't no way I'm working with that crazy. She wants it almost too much. In the industry, it's a valuable aspect to be happy and harmonious because you're working with other people. This is a collaborative industry. But the truth is, every industry is collaborative and every industry values happiness and harmony. So no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, you can desire it, you can be open to it, you can work towards it, but you also have to learn to surrender. This is the part where we go, I accept the things I cannot change. So, that's the problem, is the lack of acceptance. 12 steps says acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. This is the nature of the business. And my mind says, well, why? Why? We live in that why instead of, some of these questions we're not going to get the answer to today. Can we just accept that? Can we just be in the great mystery of God? We know the serenity prayer, but there's another prayer that I like to say, which is more or less the prayer of fun. It says, God, grant me the serenity, save me from my own wanting, that seeks to drive me into being obsessed with the outcome while sacrificing the enjoyment of the journey. Save me from that. Because I will have an obsessive mind and I will get something in my claw and I leave no breath for the Holy Spirit or for God. The tool of the Course in Miracles says, I place the future in the hands of God. But do I? I don't when I'm wanting. I'm grabbing that back every chance I got. Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And God's like, you got to sit in the passenger seat. I got this. On my time. On my dime. So, God grant me the serenity. When we talk about serenity, we're talking about peace. We say here, peace is our goal. So what we're asking for is peace. God, give me peace in this place where I want to get jagged. Give me the state of feeling calm. Give me the ability to trust you. Peace is the acceptance of things that I can't change. And you know what I can't change? I can't change anything past my nose. That's it. I can change my nose inward, the temple, that's it. I can go to the temple, I can keep the temple clear, I can work on my unforgiveness, I can work on my joyful expectancy. The courage, the next thing is the courage to change the things I can. And this speaks of action, responsibility, and fearlessness. When we say I want to have more faith, sometimes we don't understand even what that means, but I can tell you that faith means being fearless. It doesn't mean that we're going to have no fear whatsoever. It means we're going to face those places that bring up fear, and we're going to take a breath and move to the best of our ability with fearlessness. This step also requires us to do a little pruning, to prune away the things that are dying. These are the things that we can change. So this week, I'm going to invite everyone here to move into some pruning, to start to look at the areas of our lives that are blocking that flow of God. For me, this week, it's going to be about more meditation, about more stillness. In order to prepare for this week, I cleared out my office. I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. stuff. And some of you got thank you notes from 2 years ago because they've been sitting around counting dust. You know what I mean? So if things are being stagnant in my office, it's no wonder that things are stagnant in my life. If things are stagnant in any corner of your life, it's no wonder that you're not having the flow. So go do these things as a ritual. Go to a junk drawer. Go to your closet. Go to anything that you've sort of been like putting on the back burner, and just make it a spiritual practice to clear it out. See some people looking and laughing at each other. I didn't mean to cause a stir, but you know what you're talking about apparently. So this is a practical tool for me to work on my consciousness. So during this week, when you make the decision to do that, people will call you, things will come up to distract you from following through on this intention. So you got to decide, is this thing more valuable to me than being a people pleaser or trying to be all things to all people or being a Wonder Woman? Like, can I really commit to my spiritual practice in this way and just really allow myself to get done? And you get to say yes or no to anything that comes across your threshold. Your yes and your no will define and carve out your life. Your yes and your no are the two things that are responsible for what your life looks like right now. What have you said yes to and what you have said no to? So today on the call, somebody said I want the peace of God, but I don't feel like I get it, and I don't understand why I get it, and the Course tells me that I'm fearing my own strength. And I said to her, this is what it is. When we have unforgiveness or confusion makes us weak. It literally makes us weak. But we continue to dabble in this unforgiveness and this confusion because we think we're tolerant of it. So we have to get to the point where we see that that is a weakness and not a strength. When we start to move in a clear vision with the divine and we really allow ourselves to be impeccably guided, we have more strength than we could ever even imagine. We fear that degree of strength. We fear being a hot knife through butter because then we would have to really take responsibility for our holiness and show up like a bright, shiny penny. And there's so much, fear about that. There's so much I'm not worthy, I'm not ready about that. So we're going to walk through it gently together. So if I jump at every distraction that the ego comes up with, I will not be able to fulfill the mission that God has given me. If you jump at every distraction that comes across your threshold, you will not be able to fulfill the mission that God has for you. So even Letty, and I don't mean to use it as an example, but we saw this coming. So there obviously were distractions that came in the way of you getting that over the finish line. So at any time, we could call on help, I can help you do that. I can totally help you do that, but we got to pick up the phone and say, look, if the train's coming and I'm not even packed, so just help me out here. And I'm using that as an example, but it's just a little example. The woman is going to have a book before you know it. She's going to have a platform before you know it. But these are the things that prevent us from getting there. We're not even willing to include ourselves in the equation and say, this is important. Maybe I need to go away for a whole week to get this thing written, but this is important. This is a part of my ministry. Okay, so, something's happening. It sounds like it's humming now. I'm scared. Okay. All right. So faith. Staying focused on God and trusting that God will do the rest and that God is actually present. So the reason I'm assuming that maybe Letty didn't get it past the finish line is the woman also has, 3 kids and business and the goddess ministry and all these other things. So sometimes we can say, oh my gosh, if I don't answer this question right now, it's not going to get answered. I'm the only person who can do this, right? So we make ourselves really important at the sacrifice of the true thing that we're supposed to be here and show up for. And so what I would say is to remember as we move forward, like hot knives through butter, that God has our sons and daughters, that God has our husbands and wives, and that we're not the only channel for that good to come through. You hear what I'm talking about, Letty? Sermon for one. But it's really for all of us, and it's for my ears too. It's absolutely for my ears too. So faith is believing in that which is unseen. So having a greater faith in the vision that God holds out for you can sometimes be scary because it's unseen. It comes not as a fully formed thing, but as a vision. So we have to walk forward on just a vision, on just a concept. And fear and faith ask us to believe in the same thing. It's something everything unseen. So we get this vision and we get to decide, oh my gosh, God has given me this vision to write this chapter for this book. Am I going to cloak this in confusion and fear and not enoughness? Or am I going to cloak this in, I've got this, there's no way, there's nothing that can prevent me. I have all of the resources. Everyone I know is applauding me to move this past, and I got this. Like, those are the two ways. That's the difference between faith and fear. And sometimes that fear that we have, if we don't bring it out into the light, we just fester with it in our closet. So nobody knows that we're dealing with it, and it takes us down. Don't do that. Bring it out. When we step in, when we're stepping into the vision, we're asking to step into the mystery. We're asking to step into a new idea that hasn't been formed yet. We're asking to demonstrate this vision of God. And we're asking for the clarity to make sure that we continue to step in right action. Now, before that happens, that's the acceptance. Before that happens, we have to let some things go. So that's what the second step is, the courage to accept the things we can, and then the courage to let go of that which we don't want to experience anymore, to clear it out. The next step is the thing that could really impede many of us. Something needs to die, right? If everything stays the same, we're going to get the same exact outcome. I had a friend come to me this morning. I was like, hey, something needs to die for me here in this agreement, and so that I can really be in my truth. That's beautiful. I mean, that's really beautiful. If you are in a circle of friends that appreciate your truth, that's going to be able to happen. The reason we don't speak our truth is because we fear that people can't handle it. People can handle your truth. If they can't handle it, then they're not your friends to begin with. Okay? So, when we have this idea and we're cutting away those things that are not for us and are not supporting this vision, it's like we're holding a baby, right? When you're holding a baby, you shouldn't be multitasking. So you want to look at the baby, that baby is God's vision for you. You want to look at that baby, you want to visit that baby, you want to be with that baby, you want to support that baby, you want to stay with that baby. You want to release for yourself anything that's going to encumber your supporting that baby, right? Anything that's going to encumber it is, first of all, we already talked about unforgiveness. Unforgiveness, toss that overboard already, but what else can die? What other habits? What other relationships are draining you and distracting you? What do you need to set boundaries for yourself or for others? What needs to be pruned? This is a step we don't want to do. We don't want to prune, because I never want to prune. I'm like, it still has life in it. It's so pretty. But it's draining all of the other possibilities on the bush. So you always want to be there a little bit vigilant about letting things go. It's not an easy step. We're all stuck in the consciousness of good enough, These habits, these relationships, they're good enough. They're the ones I know. So I don't want to change anything. And you know what? These relationships, these habits, they could be fine. They could actually even be good. But if we're here to be good or fine, we're not in alignment with God's vision, because God's vision is great. So we don't want to let our good get in the way of God's greatness. So sometimes we have to even let go of what's good and fine. And that's a really hard thing to do. Getting with God and getting clear with God is the first step. But we're not going to get with God and get clear with God if we haven't prepared. So, like I said at the beginning, one way to prepare is to, for me, it's my house. If my house isn't clear, if my office isn't clear, if my desk isn't clear, I'm just not going to be as on point. And I'm not going to be able to really sit down with God. So, whatever that is for you, I told you that's what it is for me, but whatever it is for you, and you know what it is. If you have paperwork on the back burner, or if you have conversations that you haven't had, if you have phone calls that you still need to make, that's probably a part of the clutter that's preventing you from hearing the vision that God has for you. So, I had this experience, and listen, letting go of all that is hard. I had this experience with my friend Mary, who we have a person in our community who's a hoarder. She's told us she's a hoarder. She's told us, we've been praying for her for a while, and she's told us that many times that her apartment is up for grabs because the inspector's going to come and kick her out. She's an older woman. So she tells us a story, and Mary has a heart of gold, and goes and says, I'm going to come and help you out. She's like, I'm going to go help this person out. You want to come with me? And I'm like, damn, no, I don't want to go help her out. But I have to be the student sometimes and go, okay, Mary, we'll go down and help this person out. So we go to her house, and it's interesting, because this lives within all of us. We meet her, we pray, start to move some things. I pick up this bucket of old newspapers that are like gray and hideous, and I go, I'm gonna take these outside to the recycle bin. And she's like, no, wait. And I'm like, what could you possibly want? I thought of all the things, nobody's gonna want this. She's like, I might need something that I'm gonna read in that. I might, yeah. So that lives within us, you know what I mean? Like, I might need it. I might need it. That is right where scarcity lives, where we're holding on to our own resourcefulness and we're not allowing God to come with a new gadget. You know what I mean? If we were still holding on to the beeper, the beeper works. It's like, well, you gotta let that go. We got phones now. Like, you got, or even the phone that was attached to the wall. I'm like, what if we still had, oh, I might need it. It's no good anymore. Like, we've advanced, we've made advancements. Like, it's okay to let go and to be in the innovative state. We say this community is innovative. If we are innovative, we gotta show up and actually be innovative. That means clearing away old things that no longer work. And when I say no longer work, I mean not just good enough. Like, oh, this is fine, slap a Band-Aid on it, we'll figure it out. No, to really see if you can strip everything away and only have what is optimal in your life. Like, what would it feel like for you to actually live that way? I'm curious, because I'm ready. And I think you are too. So, this week I'm telling you, last week I told you to make sure that you wait on God. You know, you pull up and you're honking for God to come out. So make sure that not only is God in the front seat, driving the car, God's got the map, maybe you can be in charge of the radio, that's all your responsibility is. But if you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, you let God do the driving. So be sure to wait for God to get in the car and drive you where you need to go and trust for implicit directions. But also, do not make God wait on you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do not sit in the house while God's outside honking the horn saying, I got the vision, what's holding you up? And you got to get over all your boxes of forgiveness and all your boxes of confusion and all your boxes of unworthy before you get out the door. God's ready to go. We got places to go. We got people to see. We got healings to happen. And we got to get ready for that ride. So this week is the week that we do it. And that's the word.